Welcome in, everyone. We've got a breaking special report today. We're actively tracking a live, rapidly unfolding situation right at a major digital checkpoint. Every single day, millions of us just click and traverse the web, completely assuming it's this clear, open highway. But right now, we've got our eyes locked on a highly secure juncture where access is literally being halted and managed in real time. We're getting data straight from the front lines of this digital encounter, and we're going to break down exactly what goes down in those critical, high-stakes, fractions of a second between your click and your final destination.
Moving right into our first section, the initial holding pattern.
Okay, so our very first piece of intel from the front lines shows an immediate halt. The message is simple, right? Just a moment. It sounds incredibly polite, almost unassuming, but beneath that friendly phrasing, the reality is we're looking at an indefinite, highly suspenseful pause. We've literally been thrown into a mandatory holding pattern. We haven't been rejected, sure, but we definitely aren't being let through either. The system is demanding patience while these unseen mechanisms, like complex threat assessments and heavy traffic analyses, spin up behind the scenes just to verify we aren't some malicious bot.
Let's move to the timeline and see exactly how this builds, because this is not just a static delay, it's a rapidly evolving sequence, literally measured in milliseconds. We start right at 0 milliseconds with the pause-initiated phase. That's our just a moment. Moving forward, you can see the verification phase is strictly pending. The checkpoint is actively interrogating the incoming connection, checking IP reputations, browser fingerprints, the whole shebang. And finally, way over there on the right, the target response? Entirely pending. We are essentially trapped in the void between our origin and our requested destination, just waiting for this digital interrogation to finish.
Now on to the next phase, the breakthrough, where verification is finally achieved. Now, what's really interesting about this update is the absolute definitive finality of that second word, successful. We just received the signal, verification successful. The system has completely finished its massive threat assessment and made a hard, fast determination. Our connection? It's legit. The traffic is clean. Guys, this is basically the equivalent of a massive green light flashing at a high-security border crossing. We have officially, definitively cleared that initial hurdle. But then we immediately hit Section 3, the standstill, awaiting server response.
And the contrast we're seeing right here is just staggering. On one hand, we've got the total victory of the clearance process, right? Verification successful. We did everything exactly right. But juxtaposed directly against that is this active, completely unresolved tension, waiting for OpenAI.com to respond. We successfully passed the rigorous security check, but the actual entity we are trying to reach, they haven't answered the door yet.
So the absolute crucial takeaway here is our total dependency on the target destination. Look at that phrase, waiting for OpenAI.com to respond. This highlights that clearing security is literally only half the battle. Even though we are verified and validated by the perimeter defenses, we are totally stalled out. That destination server still has to allocate resources, manage its own massive traffic queue, and actually execute a handshake. Until that specific sequence happens, we are entirely at the mercy of the destination's capacity. We're verified, but we're totally stranded.
Which brings us to Section 4, the mandate, JavaScript and cookies.
All right, consider this an urgent news bulletin straight from the checkpoint. Enable JavaScript and cookies to continue. Let's be real, this is not a gentle suggestion or a helpful tech tip. This is a strict, non-negotiable mandate that applies directly to your ability to move forward. If you want to reach the other side of this digital checkpoint, well, these are the newly dictated terms of engagement. The system is flat out requiring a technical surrender before it will even think about establishing that connection.
Let's actually break down these sudden demands into a clear visual action plan so you know exactly what's required to breach this final gate. Step 1. You must enable JavaScript. You are actively granting the site permission to run its own code directly on your local machine. Step 2. You've got to enable cookies. This allows them to place tracking data right into your browser to maintain your session state. Only upon the successful active execution of those two very specific technical concessions does Step 3 finally unlock, allowing you to hit Continue.
Make no mistake, these are the mandatory requirements for entry. If you don't actively yield to these specific technical parameters, JavaScript enabled and cookies enabled, those digital gates are going to remain permanently closed to you. You are literally required to trade a piece of your browser's sovereignty in exchange for safe passage. All that prior verification we just talked about, it means absolutely nothing if you don't comply with these final unyielding technical protocols.
So what does this all mean for us? It brings us to the ultimate question we really have to ask at the conclusion of this brief. Is digital access ever truly instant, or are you always paying with your data to continue? We so often think of the web as this fluid, open highway, but this high-stakes micro-event proves it is heavily fortified with intense checkpoints. Every single just a moment is a complex negotiation. Every verification successful is a major hurdle cleared. And every demand for JavaScript and cookies, well, that's a toll you have to pay. Keep that in mind the next time you find yourself suddenly halted at the gates of the digital frontier. Thanks for tuning in to this special report, and we'll catch you next time.